Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Zen Blonde podcast. It's me, your host, Lauren. Today, I am joined by two very special guests. I have John Joseph back. So if you haven't realized by now, we're joined at the hip, literally.
Hello.
And we have Tommy Italiano. Hi, Tommy.
Hi, how's it going? Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you for being here. So Tommy is amazing. He is an OnlyFans star, a Twitter star, and most interestingly was formerly Todrick Hall's assistant. And beyond that, you've had an amazing career and done so many amazing things, but we're obviously all watching Big Brother being like, WTF, and reading back on Twitter and then being like, what happened to this Tommy Italiano fellow? So how did you become Todrick's assistant?
After I became friends with Todrick, just on a personal level, and when I was studying for the bar exam, he told me he was going on tour, and he offered me a position as a tour assistant and a production assistant on the Netflix documentary he was filming. So I thought, that sounds like a great opportunity. I get a Netflix job right out of law school, so I went gung-ho. And I started working as a production assistant. I did really well, and then they asked me to be on camera as his personal assistant. So I started as a production assistant, within weeks became his personal assistant, and then by the end of the film, they were using my footage that I filmed at Kinky Boots in the film. So my first job, I was able to get a movie credit from my first job. So working with Todrick at first, to me, was like a dream come true, because I was able to achieve the career goals I wanted, and I was kind of blind to what was going on at first.
Because I think we all come out here and we're like swept away by the entertainment industry, and like I've had like those kinds of opportunities bubble up where it's like you're just kind of like a kid in the candy store, because when you move out to LA, like you're obviously, that appeals to you in some way, and you're just at a law school and this huge star is coming in and wanting to like give you a job. I totally get it. Where were you before you were in LA?
I was in New Orleans. I went to Loyola, New Orleans.
Okay. No, there's like a few Loyolas.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So when did things like kind of turn for you? Like how was that lead up with Todrick?
Well, it's been a tumultuous relationship from the beginning.
Yeah.
Work-wise, just personally, he is someone that's very manipulative. So I was able to look past some of the things he was doing, because he really made me believe I was part of his family. He would call me his brother. His mom would tell me I was like a son. So I really became invested in him as a person and as an artist, because I was working around the clock, living on a tour bus, traveling around the country on a tour bus. So you get to know someone really well, but also you get to see things most people don't see. And
there are no normal boundaries in a job like that. So it's like when you're sleeping like in the same whatever bus as someone, or you're eating with every meal with them, and work ends when the tour is over. I mean, like, it's impossible to set boundaries, and things just sometimes get really like unprofessional. So I mean, it's just impossible. Those lines get blurred so easily.
Well, also, especially you're coming to LA, and like I know I've lived in LA my whole life, so you're always, no matter where you're from, grateful to be in the room. And so you're gonna ignore red flags, because you're gonna be like, I can't believe I'm working with this big person, or I'm working with this so-and-so, and oh yeah, that's kind of crazy, but it's worth it in the end because it's for my resume, or this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, or people move to LA and they kill for this opportunity. And so, of course, you're not gonna be able to call things out as they're happening, because you're just like, number one, it's a whirlwind, but number two, you're so grateful to be in the room already, right?
And he had an excuse for everything. It would be an elaborate story of why he couldn't pay the entire company for a month. He would blame it on other people. And so when you're invested in a personal level and you are working and creating art, you really believe that, oh no, this can't be true. He can't be bad. Like, he's been so nice to me. He's giving me this great opportunity. There's no way he could be this horrible person. Yeah. And it turns out he is.
And he also has so much built up around him, because the music videos were so expensive. Like, his costumes were so detailed. Like, there were so many different moving parts that clearly indicated, okay, this person has the funds to create this music video and do this tour and do all these other things. Why wouldn't he have the funds to pay me or the dancers or any of the other people that came out and said they were missing payment? And I think like it's an interesting segue into like the Big Brother of it all, because not only have we seen how manipulative he could be on the Big Brother in the Big Brother house, which I know you've been watching as well, but we've also seen him address some of these things in the Big Brother house, and it's just like very odd that he's addressing them in the Big Brother house as this literal shitstorm is going on in the outside world. And it's like, what inkling did he have, you know, in Big Brother that he would start bringing those things up? And I think we all have a little bit of a sneaking suspicion here.
I have a theory. I have a running theory.
What's your theory?
Todrick has a history of working on reality shows. He knows producers. He has moved Big Brother winners and contestants into his house prior to this. So to me, I think it's pretty obvious that the line producers are feeding him information in the dining room. And like, if you watch his facial expressions, he leaves that dining room and he's armed with information. And then he somehow has this big, long, elaborate story that he can speak to camera because he knows people are watching the lives, and he can just spew his narrative. And then Misha, which I think that she's being taken advantage of. I don't think she realizes truly what a horrible person he is, but they're getting caught up in it.
Yeah.
And he's actually using them to kind of defend his bad behavior, but I don't think he knows how bad it is. Like, the public is reacting to it.
Well, because the thing about Todrick is, not only did he think that Shayna was going to need to apologize to him at one point, that was something he said, and then he said something also about Chris Kirkpatrick, but then I feel like he comes out of those, like, sort of behind-the-scenes situations armed with this information, and then has like a totally new spin on things. And like, things, if you guys listening don't know, things have gotten so bad that there's literally a trending hashtag on Twitter, Todrick Exposed Party, with all of these people coming forward outlining the many different things Todrick has done. And I mean, you've had so many public situations with people now leaving the house realizing what really went on behind the scenes, but I think it's almost like a microcosm for the macrocosm of like things he's done to other people outside of Big Brother. And I think everyone who's experienced him in a negative way is like triggered by seeing him on the TV right now and seeing him like behave in that way still.
Well, because he has an arrogance about him while he's in these. I said to Tommy, I'm like, it's funny to me. It's like, do you not realize there's cameras everywhere? Like, you're saying some stuff, like, I said this to you the other day, we're all consumers of art. We're all consumers of something. I love Britney Spears. I have Britney Spears calendars. I've had a Britney Spears bedding. Like, I do it all. I know to her I'm probably a product, but she doesn't make me feel that way. So when he's in the Big Brother house talking about Cameo and all that stuff, it's like, you are not only arrogant, but you're letting every one of your followers know that you love, that they're nothing but a product to you.
Yeah, because for those of you that don't watch Big Brother, he was on Big Brother relaying to Cynthia that he has the same script for every single cameo, and he was gloating about it. And like,
he says he gives them enough, but not enough. Like, he was like, I'll give them something, but not too much. I have the same spiel. Like, if it's your birthday, I have the same thing. And it's like...
And I totally understand, you know, maybe he's stretched for time and maybe cameo isn't top priority, but for somebody who's in like the Midwest, who's his biggest fan, who makes like, you know, works a blue collar job that's like getting this, and this is a big gift for them for their birthday, to then be watching that on Big Brother, where they're like, that was an investment for me. 150 or whatever people are charging, whatever he's charging people, maybe chump change to him, but to somebody that was a big birthday gift or a big investment. And to hear that he's reading from a script is just kind of a slap in the face. Even if he was doing that, for him to be so cavalier about telling everyone, I think is just like indicative that like he doesn't really understand like how he's going to be perceived by people, or it sounds very disingenuous, and it's making him not look like a very nice person.
I kind of rolled my eyes because I think it's actually his main form of income, so he should take it a little more seriously, because he really relies on that to pay his mortgage. He's been in the live feed saying he's worried about even making his payments for his house, so
yeah,
he should think, maybe not insult the people that are actually helping him make a living.
Yeah, no.
It's like a slap in the face.
Almost every big star that I've been in a room with that talks about Cameo, they're like, that is my #1 way of getting income right now. I have someone that I know that was with a really big boy band star who was like, my kids are getting a huge college fund because Cameo is just like money after money after money. So when you say things like that, it kind of makes people second guess. Like, I know for me, I've never bought a Cameo because I have that same fear of like, is this going to be something personalized, or is this going to be something that you just kind of like do for all your fans, and I'm going to have spent like, you know, $800, whatever it is, like on this video, and it's not going to even be like personalized to me. So I've never wanted to do that. So I think about all the people that are like not even fans of Todrick that maybe go, oh crap, I don't even want to buy a Cameo anymore if that's how people are going to be doing it, you know?
But you know what, so my parents, I had like the shittiest 30th birthday of my life for a number of reasons this year. So my parents are so sweet and they wanted to surprise me. So I woke up to a Sonia Morgan cameo. And that shit was personalized.
I would be very happy with that.
Dirty 30.
I would be happy with that.
She was amazing. She was like dirty 30. She was like, you're like still hot and young, but like you're wiser and you're gonna go out and have so much fun. It made me like hyped to be 30, and she really made my day until she started going into a diatribe about her show coming out to LA and me being her biggest fan, because I'm sure my mom wrote the email like, Lauren is a super fan, like in all caps, and I was like, oh my god, I literally cut off that part because I was like, that is like mortifying, Sonia, like read the room. Just because I went to your influencers and friends only show in New York does not mean I have posters of you on my wall. But in her mind I do, and that's okay.
You should.
It's interesting you say that, because if you go and look on the website, you can look at other people's cameos. And there's a lot of people that spend a lot of time, and they're fun, they're personalized. Some of them aren't, but you can see they put forth the effort. If you go to Todrick's right now, he makes a mistake and calls the person the wrong name, and he doesn't even re-record it. He just says, oh, I'm sorry, changes the name, and keeps going. And then it's literally on his Cameo page right now. They posted on Twitter, that's how I saw it. So
Oh my god.
I'm like, it's just insultful. If you're paying this money, you can literally take 5 seconds, push, redo, and just re-record it.
Well, it's frustrating because it's why influencers get such a bad rap. It's because like notoriously influencers just kind of don't give a crap because they're just famous for being famous. And I know that he thinks that he's this big singer, but he's still a YouTuber at heart. Like, I'm not trying to be, he's so talented, don't get me wrong, amazing choreo, great songs, but you are a YouTube-based singer. You know?
That is true.
Like,
I was making some faces.
I just, no, I mean, no shade, but like, I just opened up for a boy band at a venue.
Not any boy band, O-Town and LFO.
But like, Todrick in his prime is selling out the theaters that they're selling out after their time has passed. So it's like, it's no shade to him, it's just the fact of the matter, and like, be a little bit more humble.
And the thing is, I think we've seen it time and time again with people in Hollywood. If you're not humble and appreciative of the people around you and just the people that are obviously supporting your career, i.e. the Cameo people, like it's eventually going to catch up to you. And like, so there's a dichotomy within him that I noticed. So one of the first people to speak out regarding Big Brother, Teddy Mellencamp, who we all knew and felt mediocre about from.
I loved her. I thought she was going to bring him to task. I thought that's the reason why he got rid of her, because I think Teddy had a sense of his manipulation. And I think she kind of knew information about the controversies. I think that's what they're alluding to, that, oh, Teddy was talking about me. I think he knew Teddy was armed with information that could expose him. So he was like, we got to get rid of her.
I would have liked her
take.
longer on Big Brother, but as a housewife, meh. But she literally gets off the show and she goes, he rubbed me the wrong way because he complained about how much he needed the prize money while bragging about his house having a movie theater and possibly buying a $250,000 Wizard of Oz costume. But then the same man, I'm on Twitter and I see that he has an Amazon wish list with cat food and candles from Schitt's Creek, like, you know, the prayer candles with Schitt's Creek people on it. And I'm like, okay, so you're just like spending way out of your means. And you're just spending and spending and spending way out of your means. And then on the back end, you're not caring about the people around you, paying them. You're exploiting your fans for like, I don't want to say exploiting, but you're asking your fans to buy you basic things on Amazon on a wish list. Maybe that's smart. I don't know. But that's also just like kind of like lowbrow for somebody who's saying they're going to buy a $250,000 Wizard of Oz costume.
He seems like so out of touch. And obviously I don't know him, but it seems like he's at that level of like celebrity where he just looks at everyone as like a piece of something to him. So his fans, he doesn't care. Like he doesn't care if they're gonna buy an Amazon wish list, because to him he's like, they're upset. This is what, from an outsider perspective, I don't know him. So it seems like, oh my gosh, my fans are gonna be obsessed with me anyway. Let me go buy them a cat, like have them buy me cat food, have me buy this. They're gonna do whatever I tell them to because they love me.
And I do know him, and he does that. That's I would agree that's how he would think.
Because didn't he have some of them like allegedly move his things?
So I had a friend, allegedly, that
the friend is alleged.
She calls me allegedly, and she's like, "Oh my God, John, you're not gonna believe who I helped move." And I'm like, I live in like a small town, so I was like, "Who?" Like I'm thinking it's one of our friends, and she goes, "Todrick Hall," and I go, why did you help Todrick move? Like, that was so weird to me. And she starts telling me the story, and I just start laughing, and she's like, what? And I'm like, so what you're telling me is, like, Todrick could have hired movers, but he knew his fans would do it for free.
Exactly.
And she was like, no, he was so cool, but there was this one girl that kept kind of like freaking out about him, you know, being Todrick Hall, and I'm like, yeah, I go, the one girl that probably wasn't helping him, so he was gonna like kick her out. And so she ended up staying, but it's like, of course he was gonna kick the one person that was freaking out.
She put her head down. She went to work after that. And she was like, I can't.
She's like, he bought everyone pizza, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sure he did, because $20 pizza is way cheaper than a moving team.
I mean, that is just shiesty AF.
In the documentary, within the first 10 minutes, it shows fans coming to paint his garage for him. So he uses them for physical labor. He uses them for free dancing, editing, any service that he can get for free from a fan, he will accept and exploit, 100%.
Wow. Do you think
He's
that's
taken
a standard for people? Like, do you think a lot of celebrities do this, or is it just?
I'm friends with actually A-list celebrities, and they would be too embarrassed. Like, they would have more pride in themselves to actually, if you're gonna buy a multi-million-dollar house, which he alleges that he bought, but from the records I've seen on Twitter that people are reposting, it's argued that he doesn't even own the house. But if you're living beyond your means, you shouldn't exploit other people's free work.
For sure.
So you can do that.
I would buy a nice like 2-bedroom like somewhere and just make it really nice and like live smaller until I could
His house
afford
is
everything.
double what Lil Nas X recent purchase house
And
is.
Lil Nas X is like a
Grammy-winning,
fire this
Grammy-winning,
year. I mean,
award-winning.
Literally
has the highest, longest ranking single in the history. So it's like, if he's buying a house that's double than this, I think illustrative.
You're way beyond your means.
Way beyond
And
your
I mean,
means.
that could be like a compulsion, it sounds like. But so obviously you guys are watching Big Brother, so I know like obviously, so the Big Brother's house is being filmed 24/7, and there are some people who are probably up like 24 hours of the day, just like waiting for things to happen.
They're
all their
accounts
eyes on it.
dedicated to it, so they will like live accounts that
But
tweet
you've
everything.
been brought up.
That's how I found out. That's why I started watching it.
Yeah.
They started tagging me and saying, Todrick's talking about you on Big Brother. And I've left him alone because I did come out on Twitter before, said my piece, but then I moved on with my life and I continued. I don't want that negativity. Then I'm just sitting there having a great day and getting all these messages, oh, Todrick's on a rampage. And so then I started like watching the live feeds and really investing in what he was saying. And it's more disgusting than I imagined.
Yeah, like what were some of the things that he said like in direction to you, or like, because obviously we all know that he's, for whatever reason, magically somehow gotten a whisper of what's going on outside of the walls of Big Brother. Again, we have our theory. But like, what has he been saying about you, and like, what were some of the things that like stood out to you in terms of like?
Specifically about me, he hasn't said too much. He said I was insane, which in my opinion, I think it's insane that he's going on these rants with being recorded. So that's what I'm like.
I can vouch for your sanity.
I'm like, I think that maybe he should re-question his sanity, but it's more so what he's saying about other people. He's being very racially insensitive. He's being borderline misogynistic towards
Shayna.
Yeah, exactly, with the slut shaming and just the different things that he said. But he has a history of doing that. Literally, it's well documented. He did it to Kim Kardashian, so it's like no one is off limits to him.
So just in case the audience doesn't know what we're talking about, you came out about this stuff in 2019. I got a message from a friend that was like, you're not going to believe what's going on with Todrick Hall. This was like right after all the Oz stuff, right? So you came out about, or did you not even come out, or were you just there to verify? I remember seeing a bunch of rumors about him not paying dancers, and that was like the big thing, and that really got me intrigued because I used to have dancers. I used to have like 12 backup dancers, and I paid every single one for rehearsals, for show dates. I bought their costumes, and I don't have the money to do that. And so for when I found all this out, it kind of really upset me for the dance community, because you know how it is in North Hollywood. It's a very small, tight-knit community. Everyone knows everyone. And when that all came out, were you like the whistleblower on that, or were you someone that just kind of like there was already some rumors and you were there to confirm them?
Tom White was the original dancer who came out, and a lot of people were confused because my name's Tommy and his name's Tom. So he came out first. He was a dancer, and I saw all the attacks from Todrick's fans against him. They were trying to discredit him. They were saying horrible things. Todrick went on his actual personal Facebook page and discredited him, said horrible things. But I wanted to validate exactly what was being said, but also Todrick called me the day it broke. So that's what actually made me post, because the conversation did not end well, and it ended with Todrick threatening me and me going on Twitter that day and exposing him for his true behavior.
Do you mind bringing up what he was threatening you with? Or were you threatening to come out about something and so he got word of that and called you and then threatened you? Or had you already tweeted anything?
I had not tweeted anything. We had problems prior to that were semi-public, but not really. Like, I had never went off. I had a few times when I had been drinking posted a few things, but I deleted them. It never got any traction. It was just me kind of venting. But in this instance, he called me and I demanded an apology. And I said, Todrick, I really want you to take ownership for the things that you did to me. And I'm not going to say anything. I just want an apology. He refused to. He tried to turn it on me and say that I was problematic and I had all these issues. And then basically I said, okay, well, this is why I want to tell people now, because you can't even own it up. I wasn't even going to say anything. You called me. Like, I had no contact to him. We were not speaking. And then in the middle of the conversation, he started threatening me. He says, well, if you say anything about me, I'm going to go on my YouTube channel and I'm going to say that you have HIV and that you have unprotected sex with people and that you don't tell them, and I'm going to destroy your reputation. I'm going to destroy your career, and this will be the last time you ever work again. And I said, Todrick, that's a lie. I am HIV positive, but I do tell people, but you're not going to use my status against me. And I went that day, I posted it, I was HIV positive, and on my other like personal accounts, but I went for him. And then I was like, you crossed the line and I don't care what the repercussions are. So
that makes me sick to my stomach that he was trying to use that against you.
Yeah, it really bothered me.
And
he used my mom against me too. He called my mom and had her, like, basically, it's a really long, complicated story. He was contacting my ex-boyfriends, contacting my current boyfriend. He was on a vendetta prior to me ever posting one thing on Twitter.
Yeah.
But did not say one thing, and he was already doing all this, like, manipulation to try to control what I was gonna say, which I wasn't even gonna say anything. And then he caused it for himself because he started threatening me.
He poked the bear.
Yeah, so, well, I hope.
That is
It's
sick.
upsetting because the LGBT community, we're like, I wish we were more tight-knit than we are, where I think we have some sort of like competition sometimes, but I think the one thing that we can all agree on is like pitting someone's HIV status against them is something that's just, after all that we went through with like the AIDS movement in the 80s and all of this equality stuff happening, like, how dare you as a gay man go after another gay man when he's going through something that's so life-changing, and so like so many people like struggle with that from the day they're diagnosed, so to ever use that against you is just so upsetting. So I'm sorry you ever had to go through that, because that's just something you should have never ever had to go through.
And I had not told my mom at this point, like my family didn't know, so he was using it as a sword. So it was like, he knows how to do that to people though. Like, he knows how to take someone's insecurity or something that they are very important to them that they don't want people to know, and he uses it as a tool to manipulate them.
And not to like ever defend anyone, but it's not like he was like in his early 20s or late teens doing this stuff. He's doing this as a grown-ass man, and like I think that's why we can forgive these influencers who are like 19, even like up to like 24, right? Like, they make a dumb mistake, they say stupid shit, but he is a grown-ass man doing this stuff, and he is coming after people as a grown-ass man. He knows better than to do that.
And he's doing it 100% sober. It's like not even like he's like drinking and going on rants. He's like, it's like premeditated, conscious manipulation and just hate.
Oh, and I mean, to think about somebody who gets that diagnosis, you obviously didn't tell your parents because you were probably processing it.
I was on tour with him. He was the second person I told
So
in
it was
life.
fresh.
He was the second person I told my boyfriend, and I told him he was the second person. So he was at the time that two people knew. So.
And you were probably like just working through it, and like to throw somebody, wrench in somebody, like like their brain like that when it probably was affecting your mental health to begin with, to try to figure out, okay, now I have to tell my parents about this diagnosis. Like, thankfully it's so manageable today, and there's so many, like, it's not like a death sentence, but it's still like, that's just such an awful thing to use as a weapon.
Yeah, and I'm like not sensitive about it. It's
Yeah.
just like, to me, just hurtful if I trust
your
you as a
story.
person,
Yeah.
you're my friend, which I realized he was not my friend the whole time. But when you have someone just use something so personal against you or threaten to use it, it just shows you this person is dangerous. This person has no conscience. Like,
Yeah,
he just
no moral
doesn't
compass.
care. Yeah. So it really scared me in a way, because I'm like, well, if he can do this, like, what else can he do? Because I've seen some more disgusting, like, behavior from him than just like threats. So I am aware that he's capable of doing things, but he typically. Sorry, I was just.
No, you're
thinking.
fine. So after you posted all this, after you kind of like came out about Todrick, like, what was the fallout from that? Like, did you like have a lot of like hatred come in? Like, did you have more people come forward? Like, what was it like when you finally said something on Twitter?
It was definitely a mixed bag.
Yeah.
I would say I had a lot of people come support me. I think I helped a lot of people because it gave other people a platform to say, well, he's done this to me as well, and they were able to get their story out. So that was a positive thing. But then I had other people attacking me, you know, saying hateful things. The worst was one of Todrick's dancers and employees came up to me at Trunks, and this is all on camera, and attacked me physically and tried to steal my phone from me as he's screaming things at me. And you can even hear him mention Todrick in the video. It's on Twitter. Like, and so it became dangerous at that point. Like, if you are inciting people to go out and take physical act against someone, that's a problem.
Yeah, to be like going out in like West Hollywood, and then like you're like just trying to enjoy your night, and then like somebody comes up to you and just tries to attack you. Like, that's crazy.
And I knew the guy because I worked with him.
Thank God they got it on camera.
I was the one recording it. And so you
is
can see the guy grab the phone, knock it to the ground. A bunch of other guys that I was with literally just jumped like in and held the guy down. And then I got my phone, I recorded it, and I left. But
How scary.
I could have easily pressed charges at that point because I was assaulted, but I just didn't want to deal with all this. Like, this is what my point was. I wasn't trying to create cloud or drama. I wanted to stop this man.
Yep.
Because he hurt me, and I'm like, if he's this dangerous, what happens when he becomes really successful and when he becomes rich? Like, those are the people that become really manipulative because then they can hide their crimes. He's already been doing a good job at it.
Yeah.
So I was hoping to stop the abuse, but it just continues to go.
And I think like we got a taste of like how low Todrick could go when we were like watching Big Brother, and Shayna was like leaving the house, and then he started humming that tune that was, so Shayna Mokler, she was formerly like Miss USA, which, by the way, like everyone tries to discredit like Shayna's career, but like she's the executive producer on Miss USA. She was formerly Miss USA. Like, I don't know, it's all rooted in internalized misogyny that we don't consider her basically like a professional athlete for the grueling things she had to go through to become that, and that now to be involved with it, like, it's a big deal. But she had a home intruder, and he was like, she confided in Todrick that the home intruder was humming some song, and then he started humming it, I think, on her way out, is what I read on Twitter.
He said a phrase.
Or a phrase.
Yeah, so the intruder said a phrase, and then the moment Shayna was leaving, Todrick repeated the phrase.
Because I saw Carson reacting to it. I didn't see the actual phrase because Carson said, "Oh, you really went there."
Well, they aired the actual phrase on the TV version.
Yeah.
And then on the live feeds, which people record and post on Twitter, you found out that Todrick was manipulated. Like, he did admit that he was doing it, and Cynthia, Carson, and Todrick sat around and laughed about it. So Carson was probably the one saying this is problematic. Carson wasn't laughing too much, but Cynthia was definitely getting a chuckle out of it. Yeah. But I thought was thinking Cynthia maybe is just nervous laughing because, like, how do you respond to like such sociopathic things that someone's doing.
It can feel like awkward, and I think too, like even when Chris Kirkpatrick, when Todrick was relaying, because if you guys aren't watching the show, like Chris Kirkpatrick and Todrick got into it, and Todrick brought up Chris Kirkpatrick's kids and how they wouldn't be proud of the way he played the game because he went against what Todrick wanted, which is just a low blow. And when Todrick recounted this to Cynthia, like Cynthia was like kind of like, eh. And I think too, it's like that nervous laughter. And I think too, thinking that Shayna betrayed her in some way. And I think they're all gonna leave this show. I mean, Carson Kressley has already left the show and apologized to Shayna. Like, I can read you guys the Instagrams really quick, but basically, like, what happened on the show is Todrick pulled one over on everyone and acted like Shayna was playing both sides of the both different teams and kind of being like a middleman, and was gunning for Carson, which was very much not the case. So Carson gets off the show and he goes, "Now that I'm out of the Big Brother CBS house, I had time to catch up on a lot of things that have been going on, which I was unaware of. I admit I had not seen much of Big Brother prior to being invited, and I severely underestimated the tactics and behavior that are part of the gameplay. Days, weeks, hours without access to family, friends, and the outside world provides for bonding, sure, but it allows for false sense of trust too and paranoia about your instinct. I met Shayna in 2008 when we worked together on Crowned, and I loved her. I never should have assumed she was playing me. Shame on me. I am sorry. I trusted others who I thought were friends, but only intended to dupe me for their own benefit. I turned against not only Shayna, but my own values of friendship. Like Julie Chen Mundez said, I should have trusted actions over words, and I learned a valuable life lesson. Shayna Moakler, I owe you a huge apology for this terrible mistake, and I look forward to telling the world the same on Wednesday night." So Carson owned up to it, and then Shayna, like, totally, backed him up and was like, "It's fine, like, let's get mani pedis together." But
and I think they both understand at that point it's just a game between them two. Like, it's not, I don't think that they were doing anything malicious. Like, Carson got dragged into these like awkward situations with Todrick.
Yep.
But I don't think either Cynthia or Carson or Shayna, they weren't doing these personal attacks. They understood they were playing a game, but Carson said, like, we're gonna do this with integrity. It's like sportsmanship.
absolutely,
They are celebrities, they're professionals, they have careers. So you can't do disgusting things and make lies up about, like, I'm thinking specifically about Lamar. Like, we didn't get that far yet,
Yeah.
but Todrick accused Lamar and Todd Bridges of being homophobic. And then 5 minutes later, he's saying to Misha that he thinks Lamar is secretly gay. And so he's saying these very career damaging things, and they're defamatory if they're false, but we don't know because he's saying these things. We can't see everything in the house, but from what I've seen on the live feeds since I've been watching them, Lamar and Todd Bridges have been treating him with respect and going out of their way to be like sensitive, like, so they aren't saying something to offend him. Whereas then Todrick is saying direct lies, basically, and just attacks against their character, saying that they're toxic, masculine, straight guys, and these things have weight. And so he needs to think about what he says before he says them, if this is true or not. But to me, I think it's just manipulation. He's just doing it so he can win the game. But there's a point, is it worth winning a game to hurt someone so badly on national television?
You know what I think it is too, is like, it's the overwhelming theme here. It seems like, I used to love Kathy Griffin. I loved her comedy. I thought she was so funny. There was a bunch of people, Margaret Cho. It was that, Joan Rivers, that cutthroat comedy, and a lot of gay men grew up watching those women and idolizing them because they were cutthroat and they spoke their mind, and I think we've all felt so like repressed. And it seems like Todrick's stuck in that headspace that we're all moving out of. We've all done things we're not proud of. We've all said shock value things for a joke. I mean, I think a lot, especially in the LGBT community, we cope with our humor. So it seems like I think even when like Cynthia was laughing at Todrick humming that song, it's wrong, but I think that Todrick probably thought he was like doing something kind of shock value that would be good for reality TV. And I even know that like friends are gonna laugh because it's so shocking. You're almost like laughing because you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe you just did that, So there's that whole thing, but it seems like he does all these shock value things, and then he turns around and he plays a victim when he gets in trouble for them. But it's like, why don't you just keep your mouth shut and not say anything to begin with, and then you won't have to get in trouble for Like he's a grown ass man that keeps repeating the same mistakes over and over and over and over again, and it's like you came out about that stuff in like what 2019, and now it's 2022, and we're still there. Now he's doing it on TV, so it's like. It's just funny to see how things are kind of progressing, and a lot of people I saw on Twitter were like trying to discredit you, saying like, well, there was that one tweet that like, well, Tommy's a drunk or Tommy likes to party or whatever, and it's like, who?
From his fans.
Yeah, from his
Especially
fans.
super fans. You can go to their actual
Yeah.
Twitter and see they are a super fan, but it doesn't surprise me because I don't know if you saw, which I think you have because I retweeted it, but Todrick's mom went and attacked Lamar's sobriety and like questioned whether he was really rehabbed or not, and said she doesn't like bullies, especially weak ones.
Yep.
So it's a tactic that they are apparently doing as a family to discredit people over a game.
And that's what I was trying to get at. Sorry, I got a little off track, but when you get to the end of the game, you win the amount of money that you're trying to win, right? And Todrick made a comment, I guess, in the house. I don't know verbatim what he said, but he was talking about how like he needs to do dance, like he would do Dancing with the Stars. Okay, Todrick says, do you want to read it? You can read it.
Todrick says he has to stop taking small opportunities like Big Brother. He says, I just bought a house, has my high mortgage payments. He would take Dancing with the Stars if he was paid enough 6 figures. He needs to make a dent in his house payments.
I mean, you're allegedly getting a PPP loan and you're allegedly not paying people, so I'm sure your mortgage is just fine, Todrick.
Yeah.
And allegedly it's not a mortgage, it's a
Rental?
Well, if you go to Zillow, it says that it hasn't been sold since 2019. So he claims that he bought it in 2021. The facts do not add up.
And there's always shady stuff like that, you know, where it's like, what really happened there? But I think he really did go after Shayna, like in so many different ways, even just saying that she's famous for like marrying famous dudes. And there were just so many little things in that house that were disappointing. But back to Lamar.
But people could say he's famous for being Taylor Swift's best friend. So
there you go.
It's the pot calling the kettle black.
100%.
That's how you found out about him, right?
That's how I found out about him because of Taylor Swift, and I'm a big Swiftie. I love Taylor. But that was like my first time ever knowing about him, but I know he was on American Idol. I'm like, I know he's super talented, which is why it's a shame that he's tarnishing his reputation by treating people this way. And I'm curious, like when you were working with him, just to like backtrack to that, did you see like a change in his behavior where he almost got too big for his britches? Like was there a point where he paid people on time and he was doing all the right things, and then there was a shift because his stardom rose so much, and then he kind of felt like above it all?
I would say it was kind of different, actually. When I first started working with him, he did not have his business affairs in order.
Yeah.
And I really tried to explain to him that he needed to pay people on time. He would come up with these agreements with people, and then he would just lie to them and make up excuses. So he tries to act like the victim and say, oh no, you know, I can't pay you because of this, but it's actually just a lie. It's not really true. But he got to a point where he was doing the right thing, and his business manager was paying people, but then he overspends. Then he'd be like, oh, I want to spend $200,000 on this tour. Well, Todrick, you're already in debt. You can't afford to do that. So the only way for him to film the videos is not to basically pay people.
Yeah.
And so the problem is that he's then going and spending enormous amounts of money on clothing and jewelry, but not paying the people that are creating the actual work, the crew that shows up on time. That's what is really disgusting to me.
Well, it's almost like the Erica Jane complex. Like all those people are so upset about the victims of that stuff, and then you're going out and buying cars and clothes and spoiling your friends and stuff, and it's like, well, where's the money? And
if he earns the money, he should be able to spend it the way he wants.
Yeah.
I think that.
But everyone on
if you're
set
not
deserves-
paying people, or if you're exploiting them and trying to get free labor, or saying you're going to pay someone and then just not paying them, here's what I think does is that he tells people, oh, I'm going to pay you in such and such months. Then those months go by, and he just basically ghosts them. Like, and he goes, oh, I never got the text. I never heard from you. You never sent the invoice. You sent it to the wrong email
It's like
address.
Anna Delvey.
It's like there's always an excuse. Every time.
And we've seen this through like a ton of tweets, by the way.
Yeah.
Like
And
a ton of people.
It's literally
come
like
forward.
dozens and dozens of people.
Like literally, like none of this is like new information. And if you go on Twitter, you will find like just receipt after receipt after receipt.
Hashtag
But then
Todrick
he
exposed
also,
party.
again, just hearkening back to it, he admits this on the show
Yeah.
because again, like it seems like producers are feeding him information, and I mean his comments are turned off his Instagram now because after what he did to Shayna Moakler, people were so mad, and then like Lamar got off the show and he's like, he basically called Todrick like a fake friend and did the like, you played chess or checkers and we're playing chess.
Lamar came out and said his manager posted that. So
Yeah.
that,
Oh, did he?
Yeah, Lamar
Okay.
is actually kind of, I think, under the Todrick spell still. But in an interview Lamar just did today, he said that he's not going on Instagram. He's not really reading the social media content. So I don't think he actually
He also
is
said-
aware yet. I think maybe people are going to eventually start telling him about the homophobic comments or the gay accusation comments. I think he definitely
Lamar
will
didn't even
change
know
his
what was
tune.
going on while he was like
No.
in the show. Like I felt like Lamar was just like honestly like thriving just by being Lamar.
But that's what it really upsets me is because Todrick knew he could manipulate Lamar because Lamar is someone that was going through a hard time. And he
Yeah.
likes to target people like that.
Well, he kept on talking about his child who would have been like 16 that passed away from SIDS, and like that was really sad.
was
And I
really
feel like he
sad.
got really close with people. And he also said that he had asked Todd Bridges to be his sober coach, and Todd had like 22 years of sobriety under his belt. And Lamar was like, my sobriety is really important to me, and he's been sober for 7 years. So to, again, discredit his sobriety when 7 years ago when he was married to Chloe or however many years ago, I mean, he really went through it and almost died because of his addiction.
Exactly.
Well, to discredit anyone for their sobriety, it's so wrong. I think back to like the Courtney Love situation with Harvey Weinstein. People were like, oh, she's crazy, or she's a drunk, she's an alcoholic, or she does drugs. And so like, okay, cool. Let's say she did all those things that you just said that she does, right? Like, things can still happen to those people. It's not like a one, size fits all, and this person's a scammer or whatever. Like, you can still be whatever you are. Like, Lamar can still have substance abuse issues and still be a great person. It doesn't define you as a human being. You just have a struggle that not everyone has, and to pry on that and to make people feel less than because of that is wrong.
And I was a victim of that myself, just with Todrick and his fans. That's actually what they do to discredit me. They try to say that I drink a lot or I'm a drunk, which is actually not true. Yeah, I do drink, but I mean, these are serious accusations. If you're sitting there attacking someone and calling them an alcoholic or a drunk,
Yeah.
it's just so he can discredit them so he doesn't look as bad. Like, oh, if this person, appears this way, then they're not going to trust what they're saying, so then I won't look as bad.
But also, like, why, if you're not a drunk, but if you were the biggest drunk in the world, why should that take away your credibility for something that happened to you in an employment situation that has nothing to do with your life when you're outside of work? Like, and I'm sure they leveraged the one time you drunk tweeted or whatever. Like, who hasn't? Martha Stewart has drunk tweets. Like, literally, like Glenn Close, I think, too.
Adele says she doesn't have access to her Instagram because she doesn't want to get drunk and post something.
Literally,
Sure.
come on, that's like the most
Yeah.
common thing ever. So like, but it's just one of those things. It's just like saying to a girl like, well, what were you wearing when you got like attacked? Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
It's victim
like,
shaming.
it is, and it's
Yeah.
like, it's not cool. And I think like the script really needs to be flipped. But the question I have for you, because now we have the exposed Todrick party on Twitter, we have the cancel Todrick, like literally Todrick Hall problematic is everywhere. Do you think that there's a point where he could come out of this and really take a look in the mirror, accept accountability, and be somebody that doesn't deserve to be canceled?
I think, honestly, from the DMs I've been receiving, correspondence with people that used to work with him that I personally know, I think some people were so scared seeing the fans attack me, seeing how after I exposed him that he still went and got a VMA, he still went and continued working. They thought, oh, he's going to destroy my career. I think now people are thinking, I could probably tell the truth and people believe me. Because a lot of people would not believe what I was saying because there was a smear campaign against me and to try to discredit me. So I understand why they were hesitant, but I think now people are going to speak up, and I think that there's some serious legal ramifications Todrick is going to have to go through.
Yeah, and trust me, like I totally get the like slew of haters that can come in if you go to my podcast reviews. Like I talked about Armie Hammer, like I have probably like, I don't know, 8 one-star reviews just from speaking about him, and there are these fans that go after like women who have allegedly dealt with like sexual assault. So there are crazy people on the internet who are so obsessed with certain stars that no matter what problematic behavior occurs, they will just be so blindsided by their like adoration for that person, and it's just like.
Well, he like actually weaponizes them. He went on for me.
Yep.
He went and made an Instagram and a Twitter post saying, "Please go report and destroy this person." Like he literally tells his fans to go do this stuff.
And then it becomes a culture of like, it's just little old me, like David and Goliath here. Like I want to live a peaceful life.
Yeah.
So why would I want to say anything? I just need to put my head down and like process this independently. So of course people don't want to come out because, yeah, who would want that in their lives? It's so overwhelming to be trolled like that.
And you also had like a lot to lose by coming out with all this stuff. You had like a career before Todrick. Like
I was working at Disney. I have a Star Wars credit. That's like my most proud thing that I've done.
Yeah.
Like, and so I knew when I came out, Todrick has influences at Disney. He has influences everywhere. I knew I was going to have to take a hiatus from working in the entertainment industry because it was so controversial. And so even people like A-list celebrities that I would be friends with, I think they would have to think, oh, is he gonna do this to me too if I do something wrong? It puts a question in someone's head. But most people aren't out there committing crimes and doing horrible, heinous things. So I had to make a decision. Am I going to expose this person for who he is and potentially destroy my career? A career that I worked really hard to do. I was in the Army, I graduated law school. I had worked years and years and years. So I wasn't just throwing it away because I was I was vindictive or I was mad. I was hurt and I was actually scared, not for myself, but for other people. And it gets to a point where it's like, is your integrity or is your career worth it? And so I decided I'm going to use my integrity. I'm going to only speak the truth. And there's a lot of people that I could have thrown under the bus along the way, and I've not brought them up. I've left them out of it 100%. I've had some victims specifically say, please do not say anything that they know I could say to help my case, but I don't want to hurt people. Like, to me, actually, I want them to, if they don't want to say anything and they are healing on their own, that's what they should do. But now, Jacob, the videographer, he years later now said he was re-triggered by watching Celebrity Big Brother, and he came out and he's now basically going viral on Twitter because he's telling a very similar story that I did, and people now are believing it because they're like, wow, there's all these like years of these allegations, there's accusations, and now people are like, maybe it wasn't this drunk guy, OnlyFans guy. Like, that's what they would also,
They
I have an OnlyFans, so they try to discredit that. So there's a lot of things that went into why people speak out and why they didn't. So now people, I think, are ready to talk.
And I hope like anyone listening to this will realize that like just hearing you speak, like everything is so genuine and from the heart. And like if you've been doing OnlyFans from day one, like who cares? Like if you drink a bottle of vodka every night, who cares? That should not discredit anything that you do. But I think that there are so many stereotypes and stigmas attached to like going out and partying. Everyone in LA parties.
Yeah.
Like, we all go out and have fun. Having
And I don't do it that
OnlyFans-
often, actually.
Yeah.
I'm really responsible, to be honest.
Yeah, the early 20s are
Yeah.
gone. Like the hangovers are bad, so
Yeah.
gotta
But
keep
even
it
then,
chill.
I was like in my 20s.
Yeah.
I was getting a doctorate.
were-
And I still was able to
you were in law
drink
school.
and graduate law school
Yeah.
in New Orleans.
And you were in the military.
So,
I
yeah.
mean, come on, give me a break.
But
People are
also,
so
in your
crazy.
defense, you're coming out about these allegations. You know it's going to make you have to take a hiatus from your career, right? So
I needed a
needed
revenue
a way,
source. Yeah.
and it's just funny that people would be like, "Oh, he's just trying to capitalize off his OnlyFans." Like, every influencer on TikTok now has an OnlyFans. So what are you
Yeah.
going to say when they get into some drama?
And I want to know more about OnlyFans because I know nothing about it except for the fact that like so this one influencer I follow, Caroline Calloway, has one, and she she started doing OnlyFans because she was supposed to write a book. She never wrote it, and she had to pay back the publisher the advance.
Wow.
And she's like this like New York City, like West Village, like classy chick, but like she's taking like topless photos on like OnlyFans, and so she's
They can
like,
be very
promoting it.
artistic, too.
They're very
Yeah.
artistic, and like I mean I haven't seen them on her page, but I've seen like her
Mine
promotions of them.
aren't artistic. Let's put it that way. I'm not doing any serious art with
Would
that.
you like ever veer in that? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna do a shirtless picture.
Oh my God! Just take it back. Take it back to a mirror selfie.
Yeah.
So when did you start like OnlyFans? Obviously, it was a necessity.
It was in the same week of the whole Todrick thing.
And did it just like explode overnight because you had like a bunch of people wanting these videos that you knew, or how did that work?
It's been since I've joined OnlyFans, I've been at the top of it. So for me, it's been great.
Did you have any issues? Because there was that whole thing with Bella Thorne and how she messed up OnlyFans because the content she put out wasn't what it was promoted to be, and then they changed something with the tipping. They put a
No, she had put out a DM.
Yeah.
So on OnlyFans, not that I would know, I can show you. They have like this like message. I'm so awful, but they have this message thing, right? And you can like buy photos in messages. Like you can like purchase something. So
It's like pay-per-view.
It was like pay-per-view. So she came out and
That's what they call it.
What I think it was like $50 or $100, and like basically like alluded that she was gonna be fully naked. They buy the picture and it's her in either like a bikini or a bathing suit, and so all of these adult film stars were like, how dare you do that? Because I think they've refunded everyone that bought the photo.
But that was the problem with the refunds, and then they were going to change something about the tipping, is what I was reading. But I don't know if they ever did that, where there was going to be a cap on how much people could tip.
I think really with the tipping, that's typically with like girls that are not doing actually pornography. They're doing like, oh, go and I'll send you the picture in my DM or whatever. It's a way that they can make additional money.
Yeah.
For the most part, most people that are just doing it, like, I'm not like a celebrity. I don't have like 1 million followers. For someone that's just doing it the way that I'm doing it, you're filming, putting up full-length videos, and the people are paying a subscription and they get access to all of it. The bigger you get, they start adding like, oh yeah, send me a message and you get the tips. So to me, I just didn't want to deal with all that like back and forth. So I just post my videos.
I've seen people use it very creatively. Like there's this other influencer, Serena Kerrigan, who made it seem like it was going to be a sex thing, but it was this whole like marketing push. And so it's interesting. And then you have
the problem with that is though that OnlyFans, because of these creators coming on, I thought that's what originally you were going to say. They changed the guidelines. So you can't, they changed what you could post and what you can't post. Right. And they also made it so that a person has to be another OnlyFans creator, or you have to have all these signed releases. It made it way more difficult, to be honest.
It's
but
crazy.
The tip thing, I think, is like the least of the change problem. But no, I'm saying when they changed the policy, they changed that, but like the content guidelines were what actually made the biggest change.
So you're at the top of the creators since you've been on, right? So in reality, is this like one of the better things that have happened to you, because now you can like live your best life and go do the things that you genuinely want to do and the projects that you want to do? Or is there anything like beyond OnlyFans that you're like really passionate about? Like, or are you just like living your life right now and just that's like the main hustle?
I'm editing videos. I'm doing a lot of different things, but what you originally said, I'm getting to enjoy life. I go to theme parks. I just went on a cruise last week. I literally go to a theme park literally every week. I have a pass to Six Flags, Disneyland, Universal, and Knott's Berry Farm. So at any time of the day of the week, I could go to any of those theme parks. So when I was working constantly, like I would go sometimes years and not go to a theme park. So now I get to enjoy life. I think COVID especially made people realize what happens, if just, we ever have to have that happen again. You have to really like be like, oh, I really enjoyed life. It was great. Like, so I get to travel. I do have big plans that I want to do again, but I needed a break. Like, I just honestly needed a break. I needed to get my mind together. I had broke up with my boyfriend at the same time with the whole Todrick drama. So it was a lot that I was going through at the time. And so now I'm in a great place, great work opportunities. I don't want to name drop, but I'm working with an artist that I'm editing her videos, and it's just been a wonderful opportunity, and I'm really happy about it.
We love to hear it. I feel like this is like a phoenix rising from the ashes, and also like I just love that you're going to Disney every week after being like, exploited.
I know, right?
Like that's what you just like. That's just the best thing ever. All right, well, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. So you
Thank
need to
you.
tell everyone where to find you. I'm so glad we got to flip the script today. Tommy, you're amazing.
Thank you so much. It's at Tommy_Italiano on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And then also I have Tommy Italiano _. So I have like two, because one is an adult and then one is more PG.
And if anyone wants to watch you on OnlyFans, are you just under Tommy Italiano?
Tommy_Italiano.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
And John, let everyone know where they can find you as
My
well.
OnlyFans is, no, I'm just joking. My TikTok is It's John Joseph, and my Twitter, not my Twitter. Oh yeah, my Twitter and Instagram are John Joseph Music.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and have a great day.